Jason there.
This is Jason.
Jason, Jim Engles from NJIT.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for taking some time with me.
No problem.
My first question for you is, I'd like you to just talk for a minute about the first couple of years for you and what that was like.
When I first initially took over the program?
Yes, after the winless season.
Yeah, it was really a difficult challenge. We came in and we inherited a team that had not won a game, and obviously I think the main thing for us was just to set the foundation for what we wanted to do going forward. So it was hard from a record standpoint. We only won one game that first year, but in actuality, a lot of the things, it was probably one of the more enjoyable seasons from a coaching standpoint, because we had kids who really listened, who really wanted to try, who obviously were playing towards a goal of just winning one game, and the effort that we gave that year was outstanding. So it was, even though it wasn't fun from an overall, people would generate, or they would dictate, or at least say your success was based on your record. But even though we were 1-30 that first year, it was very enjoyable, or at least we got a lot out of it. And then the second year, we made some changes. The roster just needed to change a little bit. We were able to bring in a whole crew of kids who were able to play that first year, so they were able to play as freshmen, and they became really the foundation from a player standpoint for us to get better over their 4 years. And we won 10 games that second year, and then the graduating class that came in that year, we were able to win the Great West regular season conference championship. So they were able to mature and physically improve skill-wise, and to see some success as they graduated. So it was very enjoyable. It was fun. I mean, we knew what we were getting into, but we were able to see a lot of improvement as we went along.
Great. What was it like for you as a program during all the conference realignment, when it seemed like everybody else was finding a home?
That was hard, because when that whole conference, we were in the Great West, which was really a good situation for us at the time, because all the schools were under the same. We were all dealing with the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't able to have access to the NCAA tournament. We were all reclassifying, or all making the jump to Division I. So there was we were all dealing with the same type of recruiting hardships, and trying to put our programs on a solid foundation. So we were all going through the same type of growing pains. So the Great West is a really good thing for us. But then once I started to see all the different movement that started to happen, and you started to hear all the rumors that Longwood was getting in the league. They weren't independent at the time. They got into a league, and then North Dakota got into a league, and South Dakota got into a league, and then Houston Baptist was about to leave to get into a league, and then it became a little bit more of the reality of the situation started to hit me and say, hey, this is, what are we doing? Are we going to be able to get in anything here? And unfortunately, because we were affiliated with teams really in the Midwest and the West, there was not a ton of changeover around here on the East Coast. So that was hard. It was hard to deal with. I think mentally for the players, it was very challenging. It was hard for them to understand. And so we had to make the best of it, and we tried to make the best of it for the last 2 years. And we were able to bring in a class of kids that are basically juniors now, that were able to grow and have been able to get some unbelievable game experience, and we've been able to make some good things happen. So I think with all the hardships that we went through, and all the obviously not being able to get in the NCAA tournament, I think all the stuff that we've been able to go through has been able to help us get to this point.
Why was the Atlantic Sun seen as a fit, and did the school have any other offers?
No, at the time, we were still the only independent, and then just around Final Four, Northern Kentucky, there was rumors that Northern Kentucky was going to leave to go, I believe, to the Summit. And knowing the landscape, it's funny, like, as a coach, I knew the number of teams in each league. Like, I knew if there was 8 teams, or 9 teams, or 10 teams, or 11 teams. So you knew the Atlantic Sun only had 8 teams. And when Northern Kentucky left, from an NCAA rule standpoint, you have to have a certain number of teams to maintain your automatic bid. So when the A-Sun lost Northern Kentucky, I knew it would be a good fit for us, because obviously they were going to need another member, and we were the only independent at the time. So we were hoping, and we had our fingers crossed, there would be something that would be able to come up and start the conversation. And thankfully it became right around that time. We had been talking to them, and when that opened up, a lot of people would say, well, the travel's hard and all that kind of we had played in the Great West, and the travel in the Great West was really pretty hard because
Oh, sure.
we were traveling time. We would play in Chicago on a Thursday and then go to Utah for a Saturday game, like a
Right.
travel partner situation. Or so we were playing in different states on different days, in 2 days, and we'd travel across time zones. So that travel was hard, and it wasn't really that hard, but it was hard because physically it was a little bit demanding. And even though the Southeast is really where the Atlantic Sun is sort of based, I knew that if we were able to get in the league, we've already experienced it. We've already gone through, how to travel and get on a plane and go from one school to another school in 2 days. So we've already experienced that. So for us, it's not really that much of an adjustment. So it made a lot of sense for me, and thankfully the whole thing sort of worked out to the point where it made sense for the Atlantic Sun, not only from a basketball standpoint, but from NJIT's academic standpoint, and then it made sense for us just to have a home and to be involved with some different schools. So it might not be the perfect fit geographically, but it really, I don't think any leagues now are perfectly fit geographically. If you look at some of the, like the Big 12 and the SEC, like all these teams, everybody travels to the Big East. It's sort of what's become the norm. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for us at all.
Right. It's like the geographic footprint has gone out the window.
Yeah, there is no geographic footprint anymore. Yeah. There is no regions. Everybody, Villanova plays it. Villanova will go out to Milwaukee to play, or
right.
They'll go out to Creighton. So it's not like the Big East is really on the East anymore. So West Virginia goes out and plays in the SEC or in the Big 12. So it's really not that big a deal. We're just at a little bit lower level, obviously. So for me, it's really the perfect fit for us.
This next question is sort of a two-parter. In terms of recruiting and scheduling, how would you compare and contrast what it was like as an independent versus what you can do now as a member of the Atlantic Sun?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. That's something that we're trying to figure out. Honestly, it's we've had some success as an independent. I think it's going to help us. It's already helped us because we are getting a lot more attention nationally from recruits. Like we get information from different kids every day that we never got before because we weren't in a conference. I think the fact that we beat Michigan, I think people know a little bit more about the brand now, so we're able to get a little bit more national recognition. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be that's going to be the right fit for us. So we're trying to figure that stuff out. We are a state school in New Jersey, so most of our recruiting has been regional. It's been New Jersey, New York, up and down the Northeast a little bit. We'd like to try to get into Florida or maybe get in the Southeast corridor, Georgia, Florida. We have a kid from down in Fort Lauderdale who's one of our players. So we've been able to recruit outside of the area a little bit. But I think being in the conference now has given us more of a brand name, and then we have this new facility that's going to be built in 2 years. They're going to break ground in November. So a lot of recruits are very excited about that as well. So some good things that are happening, which will allow us probably to branch out a little bit more than we have in the past. But we're still trying to figure out if that's the right thing to do or not.
With the opportunity of the NCAA tournament a real possibility now, how does the message to the team change?
That's been the easiest thing for me to deal with. In the past, in the last 7 years as the head coach here, we've never been able to motivate with the idea that, hey, you have those 3 days in March where if you play your conference tournament, you can still win. And the reality is that if you lose if you don't have a good non-conference season and you get guys hurt or things happen with every team, you always know that you can reorganize your team at the end of the year and get them motivated, and they know that, hey, we can play well for 3 days and still have a chance at the NCAA tournament. You see it all the time with teams that get into the NCAA tournament that don't have winning records. So we've never been able to motivate that way. We've really had to motivate just with the idea of getting better, improving, and making sure that they're individually improving, taking a big personal development and individual development has been a big thing for us. So, to the kids' credit, they've stayed firm to what we've tried to do and to the culture that we've tried to build. And that's why it's so much more fun now for me, because now when we do our stuff in the summertime, we're like, hey, that's not good enough. If we're going to, you guys want to play NCAA tournament, that effort's not good enough. Whereas in the past, it's like, come on, we gotta find ways to motivate them and keep them engaged. So now it can be a little bit more direct. It can be a little bit more normal, I guess, if that's the word. And it's exciting to see it in their eyes because there's definitely an energy now with the guys knowing that they are working towards a specific goal at the end of the season. So it makes my job a little bit easier.
What effect has the Michigan win and the CIT success had on the program?
It's been dramatic. The Michigan win itself at the time was it was such a big deal, obviously nationally, but the Michigan win really helped crystallize a lot of the things that we were trying to accomplish, not only within our program, but it was great just from a whole school standpoint because
Mm-hmm.
really got the school name out there and people took notice for all our athletic programs. So I think it's helped not only us, but it's helped our other athletic programs recruit, and it's given our school a little bit more of a national recognition. And then the CIT run, was tremendous because it allowed us. We didn't have a conference tournament to play in. We didn't have anything to when we started the season. Yeah, we wanted to play in the postseason, and we knew that if we play well, there was a slight possibility we could get in the CIT or maybe one of those
Mm-hmm.
postseason tournaments. But not not knowing, having to go through the year, that really did keep us motivated, knowing that if we continued to play well, that we could possibly get a bid to one of the postseason tournaments like the CIT. It was everything for the players to have that opportunity. So what it did for us last year was, playing some really big games to beat Michigan on a national stage, and then to come back and have some really good wins, and then to have three really good wins against in the CIT, and to play in the semifinals of the CIT on national TV. I think those are experiences that will help us now that we're in a conference because we were able to feel and experience how big the games were and that the crowds were big and that everybody was into it, and we played in some real hostile environments. So it's that for me is it's going to be invaluable as we start to get ready for the season because we're going to have to play in a lot of those types of settings this year in the conference.
Mm-hmm. My final question is, what are your expectations for this season?
It's just this. Every season we've been here, it's always been the same. It's just we need to make sure that we continue to improve. It sounds cliche, but we've never really talked about winning. We always talk about improving. We talk about dealing with the moment that we're in and having a positive effect on it and continuing to improve that way. And so we are talking about rivalries, and we definitely are now interested in the other schools that we're going to be playing in the league. And so it's more, I think there's a little bit more involvement with that, but we are talking about the same exact stuff, which has been able to keep us competitive and to make us competitive. And I don't want to lose sight. One thing we're talking with a little bit now is to deal with the expectations of having a good year last year and then being able to continue that this year. So we're dealing with a little bit of the success expectations, but we're not going to base our season on on a championship. We're just going to base our season like we always have on improving and seeing guys improve and keeping the program going. So it's a lot more fun to have the access to the conference now because it does make it a lot easier. But we don't want to lose sight of the things that have been able to make us successful, and that's really about coming in every day and getting your work done.
Great. Well, Coach, I really thank you for your time, and I know you got practice coming up. Good luck this season.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye-bye.